Okay guys, welcome back to another video. I'm the Just Y, and today we're going to be talking about something that I think is rather, how can I say it, getting like ahead of itself, which is cars have too much power now. Yes, they do. I know I sound like a fart saying that, but it's the truth. I mean, I'm not going to say back in the day because I was not really alive like 50 bajillion years ago. I'm not a stone. So back in the day it was, or late 90s I should say, sorry, it was cool to have 300 horsepower, or what is that, like 230 kilowatts, and like 500 Newton meters, whereas now you're not like cool anymore if you have like 700 brake horsepower, which is like 530 kilowatts. Like this XC90 has 328 brake horsepower, so I'm gonna quickly show you what it can do. Yeah, it really does shift. It really does, and that's with 328 brake horsepower, which is like, give or take, like 240 kilowatts, 250 kilowatts, and 460 Newton meters of torque. Which is, no matter how you look at it, a lot. That's a lot of power. Cool, I'm cool to go. That's a lot of power. I don't care which way you look at it. I'm sorry, but that's just a lot of power. I mean, the E36 BMW M3 from 1997, my personal favorite M3. Some of you may beg to differ, which is fine. Comment or DM me on Instagram. Quickly go follow me. Link in the description. Remember to go follow me there, and on the twin charged XC90 account for this car. As YouTube turned off comments, I'm probably not going to do so again, so there's not much I can do about that apart from you guys telling me on Instagram. Cool. And that had 322 brake horsepower from the Gen 2 S50 engine, which was 3.2 straight 6, I believe, and made possibly, I think, like torque 400 Newton meters. I'll stick it up on screen now, okay? I'm probably wrong, but I'll stick it up on screen. And that was how long ago? Like 23 years ago? Yeah, 24 years ago. And now, fast forward to today, the new M3 has 375 kilowatts. 375 kilowatts, and that's my dog, sorry. 375 kilowatts and 650 Newton meters of torque. So that is, in horsepower, 503, which, no matter how you put it, it's a lot of torque and a lot of power. I mean, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 3.6 seconds, which is about as fast as a Ferrari 458, a car I've had the fortune to experience. And yeah, Hold up. Cool. I mean, the Ferrari that I did a video on recently, I'm also going to stick a link to that video in the description. Highly recommend you go watch that one. That has, what is it? Like, what's it? 740 Newton meters. That's just, that must be brutal to experience. The reason why I bring this subject up is because you can't really use, like, what's it, that amount of power and amount of torque in the street and on the highway at all. Like, this car, when you really put your foot down, when you really get on it, is almost too fast for the street. Like, you're never really gonna be able to floor it without doing dangerous speeds. And yeah, I get it, we are all in the car community speed demons, which are fine, I understand, and I'm the same. I'm the same, but when it's getting to that level, it's just unusable unless it's gonna go into tire smoke and sideways angle, which I'm also all for actual track racing. But where in the street are you going to be able to use 650 brake and like 900 Newton meters of torque? Where are you going to be able to use that in the street unless it's in a very, very, very empty area, or preferably closed off? And like, I mean, on the highway, if you're going to be overtaking someone, you're not really going to need to really floor it. I'm going to give it a bit of a little toot now. Yeah, that was just like a little bit. I was like 90% down, and this thing does take off. I mean, take this car, 0 to 100, Volvo State 6.5 seconds, and a 235 km/h top speed, which is all not too impressive on paper in today's standards, but actually getting to experience it is, I'm not going to say it's brutal because that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's pretty darn quick. It's not lacking in performance. So, like, I was going to say, not too much power comes a very long way with low weight. But this car does weigh 2 tons, so that would not be very fitting now. But I went in a Cayman GT4 recently that had 385 brake horsepower, which is a bit more than this car, 328. And it weighed not too much. I'm gonna stick that up on the screen. And it went like hell. I mean, even though it had a big wing slowing it down, at top speed, how can I say, it went like hell. And then later on that day, I went in a 577 brake horsepower Jaguar F-Pace. That thing was that thing is lethal quick. That thing's like proper 0 to 100 3.7, 100 and like, what's it, 181 mile an hour. That's like 290 something. yeah, I have a lot of stuff on my mind, guys. I'm sorry if I'm not going straight to the point today and I'm yabbering on. I'm really sorry. But I mean, it's just that, you know what, I think it's just down to the fact that numbers and specifications are great marketing material, and manufacturers are only started in order to make money and for people to make a living, which is all understandable. And if they don't sell, they obviously not going to be able to make money and make an income to keep the company alive and to keep the people, to keep the staff happy, or actually a solid life without living on the side of the street. Which, yeah, and that's the way it's going. It's marketing material, but instead of having, a ridiculous amount of power and a mid-weight because of like all of the safety stuff like airbags, your seatbelt pretensioners, and your luxuries like your screen, your TFT display, your buttons on your steering wheel, even like your pedals and your electric seats, all of those add weight, and that makes something worse to handle and not very fast. So it kind of evens itself out, but does it? Well, yeah, it does, but not really, no. Weird answer, but stick with me on this one. Take that F-Pace, for example. That had 577 brake horsepower and around 750 newton meters of torque, driven through an 8-speed torque converter. Driven through an 8-speed torque converter in 4-wheel drive without launch control. And that thing, well, I mean, because it weighs as much as a tank, because it does weigh as much as a tank, it's fast as hell in the straight line. But around the corner, because it's an SUV, you're gonna get body roll. It's gonna understeer. So maybe spending a little bit more than otherwise necessary is probably just enough to create a gem that would be able to make up what was lost in the beginning. And yeah, I think it's just the way we're going is not the right way. I think this marketing business is, I understand, I'm all for it. Cool. I'm all for it because companies need to make a living and make business. Completely get that. But as Colin Chapman, the founder of Lotus, said, adding power makes the car faster in the straight, but removing weight makes the car faster everywhere. And that is the truth. That is the truth. Sure, a Lotus might be once, I say once because of the new mirror. Go also check that out. Last video, pretty big, well, it did very well, so if you have not watched it, I recommend you go do so. But they were, how can I say, quite simple with their like luxuries or lack thereof. I mean, in the Exceed you had like maybe 1 or 2 airbags, manual gearbox, hardcore bucket seats, and all of that, oopsie, all of that kind of stuff. But with 300 brake, that thing was a rocket ship. That thing was a rocket ship, so I think go back with the M3 and C63, or then C55 and S4/RS4/ whatever else. Go back to like the mid 300 horsepower, or like in kilowatts, in unfunny numbers like 240 kilowatts, and like Newton meters like 500. I mean, but start stripping out a bit of weight where it's actually unnecessary. I mean, sure, sure, airbags do add weight, and they do have complications, and I'm all for that, but like your stuff like your bajillion speaker audio system and your luxuries like your electric seats, I think those can go. I'll probably give it a toot now. Yeah, this thing shifts. End of story. Yeah, so thanks so much for watching, guys. Before this video ends up being 7 bajillion years long, because I'll keep on going on this rant and going around in circles. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you all keep well and stay safe. Whoopsie. And that will wrap up today's video. So, see you guys next week. Bye bye. No, don't end the video in a corner.